Bereshit chapter 11. It's very, very fascinating because the term chapter 11 is the expression of bankruptcy. And when you talk about the bankruptcy of humanity, it expresses itself in Genesis number 11. So it's chapter 11, bankruptcy, where all of humanity falls apart. We just finished with the great flood and Noah surviving with his family. And then the world starts to rebuild itself and reproduce, and generations go by, and we're told like this in the Torah: "Vahi kol haaretz safa achat," and the whole land was one language. Udvarim achadim, and their words were unified. Vahi b'ntzah mikedem, and it was when they traveled eastwardly. Vayimtzu bika be'eretz shner, and they found a valley in the land of Shner. Vayashvu sham, and humanity started to sit there and to dwell there, somewhere in Iraq. Vayomru ish al re'eu, and one man said to his friend, Hava nivna nilbana levenim, let's make white rocks, bricks. V'nisrafa l'srefa, and let's burn them in a fire. V'tehi lahem levena la'aven, and then the bricks will turn into a hard stone. V'chamar haya lahem l'chomer, and the mortar will be a conduit upon which it will connect the both. Vayomru, and they said, Havna nivn lano ir umigdal, let's go build for ourselves a city and a tower. V'rosho b'shamayim, and its head should be in the heavens. V'na'aseh lanu shem, and we'll make for ourselves a reputation, a name. V'nofutz al pnei haaretz, because rather we be scattered amongst all the land. So there's a very big effort to be unified. The Torah doesn't really tell us stories. It shares with us information that is important for us to know because it has significance. It has to have some type of real significance. Otherwise, it was not necessary. And here we have the scenario that the Torah is coming and giving us a description of how they spoke to one another how to make bricks. Hooray! You're just making bricks. Big deal. Take mud and you dry it out and stick it in the oven and it hardens. Got it. You made a brick. Is that so significant for us to know? That it's somehow identifying or representing the essence of this generation? And really, it's a very fascinating thing that the Torah goes and tells us about the good people and the bad people. But it's all there for a lesson. And if you're going to be good, you have to be outstandingly good. And if you're going to be evil, you have to be outstandingly evil. Because if you're just a mini evil, and you're not so evil, then there's really not much to learn from you. Right? Okay, another guy made a mistake once or twice. But if you're super evil, and you have an ideology, right, then there's something to learn from you because you represent something, and you're an entity, and therefore, by studying what you do, we can learn how not to be. So here we go. We have a generation that we can't assume that they're dumb, but guess what? They're building a tower, and in the tower, at the top, somehow they're going to wage a war against God. They're going to stand there and swing their swords. Are you kidding me? Come on. So what is the message of the Dor Enosh? Vayered Hashem lerot et ha'ir v'et hamigdal asher banu b'nei Adam. God went down to see the city and the tower that was built by man. Okay, so who else is supposed to build it? So my Rebbe shares with us a fascinating insight. You see, there's only one way to wage war with God. And that is, God plays or identifies in this world with us in a very unique way. It's very much like hide and go seek. God hides, and we need to seek him. If he would be so revealed, then we would lose our free choice, because why would we want to sin if God is obviously here? But if he's too hidden, then we forget that he's here, and we we sin, and we sin terribly. So there has to be a certain balance that we know he's there and he's not there. So we maintain free will, and at the same time, we can make proper decisions. But if we totally know that he's not there, then we make really bad decisions. And what's taking place here is the way to wage war on God is to help humanity not see God. How is that possible? How do you do that? You see, the more man becomes independent and he has less of a need for divine intervention in his life, then the mass populace will stop to see God. Because why search out for God if we're independent? If we're self-sufficient, what do you need a God for? So here's the story. The making of bricks is not just a phenomenon. Oh, they discovered, hooray. It's like the first guy that discovered gravity. An apple fell on his head. Thank you. Well, every child discovers gravity. He just didn't call it gravity. But here, this person, this generation discovered the methodology of how to create a brick. And the purpose of that is that now we can make our own structures independent of the material of God, because God's materials, until then, they're built with stones. And they have to go harvest the stones and find the stones, and each stone has a different shape. Here, everything was unified. So now everything can be built within a structure that makes sense. So the building of bricks, the development of bricks is very part and parcel of the essence of the generation and the rebellion, because it means to say, I am now independent of you, God. I can build cities. I can build towns. And what happens in the big city? People that live in the big city, they make a livelihood by servicing one another. You need a lawyer, you need a doctor, you need a physician, you need a dentist, you need a barber. You never really need to go out and farm the land and be dependent upon God and say, I need water, I need blessing, I need success, my cow's sick, my chicken is this. You need none of that. You never get to witness a chicken lay an egg. You never get to witness an egg being hatched. You know why? Because you're living in the big city and you have chicken cutlets growing in a refrigerator in your local grocery store. What's that? That's chicken. That's not chicken. That's a chicken that's been processed, frozen, defrosted, repackaged, put it on the shelf. Looks good, you buy it. But that's eliminates, city life eliminates the recognition of divine intervention in our life and the need to have divinity in our lives. The way they waged war was that they were going to remove the balance of seeing God into the world. The result of this was kind of a blessing. You had developed 70 nations. You had to be scattered throughout the world. Being scattered throughout the world and building many different nations, very different countries, very different cities, very different cultures, required that the cities would be more scarce, and more people would be living in farmlands, and more people would be able to identify that cause and effect is determined by God and not by man's efforts. So this is what's taking place, and it's not a very primitive perspective. It's a very advanced perspective that people wanted to wage a battle on God and therefore create an environment that a person would not be able to see God. Well, in the course of our lives and as we play the game of hide and go seek, I'd like to bless you all that you should be able to seek and have less of hiding. Thank you.